Well, welcome, Hanoch. It's been just over a year since the last time we got together and filmed A Time Is Now.
Yes.
It's coming up on already 2 years since we kicked off the first United to Restore conference, which we're going to be doing again this August.
That's right.
And so here we are a couple of years later in the middle of Kentucky.
In the middle of nowhere, but Kentucky. Yes. No, I agree.
How's it going? How is United to Restore? What is the state of the union when it comes to United to Restore?
You know, it's so funny. I was just about to ask you that as well. Okay, from my perspective, together we've launched this revolution for restoration. This seemingly what we thought was kind of very simple and straightforward and scriptural approach that we would focus on mutual respect, reconciliation for the restoration of all the people of Israel. Over the course of the last 21 months, I've been back to the States now. This is the 7th trip. I've spoken in 18 states, many different congregations in front of a lot of people, and I think we're starting to see some momentum. This past fall during Sukkot, during the intermediate days of Sukkot in Jerusalem, the famous Jerusalem Sukkot March, for the first time ever in history, had 110 people marching as Ephraimites.
Under the banner of United to Restore?
Under the banner of United to Restore, amazingly. People from all over the world. And now, coming up next month in May, right after Shavuot, the first Congress of B'nai Yosef in Israel, 120 people, sold out the hotel, the conference is maxed out, to get together, not to debate the standard theological issues of, you know, how do you pronounce this and why do you do that, but rather to focus on what Ephraim can do now, men and women from all over the world, to reconnect with Israel.
Let's back up. Who is Ephraim? There are people that are going to be watching these videos that have never been exposed to the terms that we're going to be using in these videos. We're going to be talking about Ephraim, about Israel and the nations, the northern kingdom. Who are these people? Okay.
Let's do some serious history in like a minute and a half. Okay, and away we go. So after the glory days of King David and King Solomon, the United Kingdom of Israel split into two. The Kingdom of Judah in the south, think of Jerusalem south, and the Kingdom of Israel, the northern Kingdom of Israel from that point north. Also referred throughout the prophets as either Israel, Samaria, Joseph,
Ephraim.
And Ephraim. Ephraim being the largest constituent tribe. In the same way that Judah being the largest constituent tribe of the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and part of Levi, was referred to as Judah. The Assyrian exile, well, of course we're skipping ahead. The people of the northern kingdom of Israel slid into idolatry. The God of Israel had to punish them.
Right.
The Assyrians were sent in, destroyed the kingdom of Israel, took the entire population, carried them off into exile in Assyria, where they seemingly disappeared from the pages of history. The 10 lost tribes. However, all the prophets of Israel speak about the return of these people. Now, whether you want to call them Ephraimites, whether you want to call them lost Israel, you want to call them 10 tribers, you could even call them Marie, Queen of Romania. It doesn't matter. We're talking about a group of people who, as part of their punishment, were to forget their heritage as part of Israel. So you've had people running around for the last 2,700 years, seemingly lost as part of Israel, but all the prophets promise that they would be returned one day. All the prophets of Israel talk about the return of these people. What we're not told is what they would look like. So you have people leaving mainstream Christianity, studying the Torah, beginning to observe Shabbat, the Sabbath, the feasts, relating to the Jewish people as brothers and sisters. And this has never happened in the history of the world. 2,700 years of exile, but it's happening now. And People are coming to this understanding, as I said, spontaneously. Spontaneously. Not by themselves. Of course, they're visited by the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy or the Divine Spirit, that has woken them up to see this understanding. It's not like they've all read the same book, they haven't gone to the same lectures, and they didn't even see necessarily any of our videos, which is shocking, but Israel. So that's who Ephraim is. It's not, now please understand, when we say Ephraim, and we talk about here in the U.S., these Ephraimites are coming from Christianity generally. That doesn't necessarily mean that every Christian is an Ephraimite. People are called to this understanding, and that's why sometimes you have, as the prophet Jeremiah described it, one from a city, two from a family.
As someone who comes out of what we would call mainstream Christianity, I am really interested in some of the things that are written throughout the New Testament that would give an indication, that add validity to what we're talking about here. And one of them that I've been thinking a lot about lately is how Paul was describing that we now see through a glass darkly, okay? And what he's basically talking about is a veil, a blindness, which is written throughout various prophets and of course all throughout the New Testament. But what I find really interesting, Hanoch, is that in these last 20, 25, 30 years, the thing that Christians are beginning to see that they hadn't seen before is the Torah and is an identity to Israel. So I think that God is the one who tinted the glass, it would seem. And behind the glass, as the tint comes up, as the tint lightens, is the fact that, you know, Torah wasn't nailed to the cross, so to speak. It's still there, it's still valid, and it's still for all of his people. It's what we forsook to be sent into the nations as punishment to begin with. And to be drawn back to that has to be a sign of the times.
Again, we've been promised this renewal, this restoration. We weren't given a blueprint. We weren't, you know, and it's funny, because emissaries from the Jewish community throughout history have traveled around the world looking for our lost brothers and sisters. Behind the Caucasus Mountains, down in Africa, the outback in Australia. Couldn't find you guys. Had no clue. Seemingly you were lost. But you know what? My contention is that the tribes of Israel were never lost. They were, through their punishment, they were set aside. They were put aside. So of course, in what's probably the most astounding of divine ironies, he was busy hiding you guys in church pews throughout the world. We never thought of looking for you there. You're hidden in plain sight. And you didn't know who you were and that people were looking for you. So that's the situation we have today. And it's amazing. It's an amazing era to live in.